Today, we'll talk about perfection. For me, obsession is the gold standard on how perfect games should be designed. Also, it is a gold standard on how boxes should be designed. Every time I open this box, it is a happy moment because it is so well designed. I like how everything has its place, and I love those small boxes that contain individual player pieces and the main components of the game. Extremely very well designed, as well as the game itself. Perfection. Hey, welcome to Board Game Detectives. My name is Serge, and today we'll talk about Obsession. For years, I've heard a lot of good things about this game, but I was not willing to try it because of the theme. I was not connected to that in any way. Finally, I gave it a chance, and oh boy, it overexceeded all of my expectations. I love how perfectly this game is designed. It definitely worth the hype, and it definitely gets the gem rating from me and highest recommendations. Today we'll talk more about the game, but before that, let's quickly take a look at the BGG stats. Obsession was designed by Dan Halligan. What's interesting is this is the only game that he has designed, which is extremely impressive. To make it even more impressive, Dan Halligan is also the artist for this game. Very well done. The game was released in 2018 and it has rating of 8.2 and overall rank of 73. Community believes that it plays best at 2, but I tried it even at 6 and it still works well. It can definitely go over 90 minutes and the weight is 3.1, which makes sense. The box says Pride, Intrigue and Prejudice in Victorian England. Let's quickly talk about this part. Let's check Wikipedia. In the history of the United Kingdom and the British Empire, the Victorian era was the reign of Queen Victoria from 1837 until her death in 1901, which makes it a 64-year reign, which is a very, very long time. Here's her picture. What's interesting, in Canada, where I live, we have a public holiday, Victoria Day, which is the celebration of her birth. And she was a pretty effective ruler. Let's check this part. Throughout most of the 19th century, Britain was the most powerful country in the world. Most powerful country. The period from 1815 to 1914 is known as the Pax Britannica, which was the time of relatively peaceful relations between the world's great powers. Pax is commonly used to describe a situation in which peace has been imposed by a strong power. Pax Britannica translates as British peace. Britain was playing a role of a policeman for the whole world. It had the strongest navy, so it was controlling all seas and oceans, and it was the strongest not only militarily but also economically. This reminds me of another great game, Pax Pamir, where Pamir is a region in Afghanistan, and Britain, Russia, and Afghanistan forces are trying to achieve this dominance in the region to enforce this peace. Okay, let's go back to England. So, British Empire was dominating the world, which had some impact on the society and culture. And I find this part interesting. Increased importance was placed on the value of the family. And the idea that marriage should be based on romantic love gained popularity. This brings us to our game Obsession. You will represent one of the 6 houses. Base game comes with 4 and you need 2 expansions to add 2 more houses. Each house has a family. Father, mother, son, and daughter. As a parent, you want the best for your kids. And as we read in Victorian era, family was a very important part of the society. So you want your kids to have good husbands and wives. Charles and Elizabeth are very rich. they live in this nice house, and they are the most desirable bachelor and bachelorette. All other houses are trying to marry their kids to this family. But this task is very, very hard. The problem is that at the beginning of the game, your estate is in a very poor shape, and your reputation is very, very low. Your objective is to improve your estate and your reputation, which will hopefully open the door to the Fairchild family. Same as today, your success heavily depends on your connections. And in this region, there are a lot of people. And each of them can either increase your income or your reputation or connect you to more people. For your connections to work for you, you have to host a lot of activities at your estate. At the beginning of the game, you don't have too many options. It's only main gazebo, front parlor, or bowling green where you can accept guests as of now. As your financial situation gets better, you will be able to buy more improvements for your estate so that you can host better activities. On the builder's market, you'll be able to buy things like barn, riding stables, French garden, North library, music room, and many more other improvements for your estate. And I really love the mechanism with the builder's market. The price for the improvements is ranging from 300 to 800. And anytime anyone buys any tile, all other become cheaper. And this adds very satisfying tension in this game. Do you spend a fortune and buy the tile, or you wait a little bit for it to become cheaper, but there is a risk that someone else will snatch it before you do? And sometimes the tiles are worth paying for. Let's compare these two. Riding stables, you can invite a gentleman and a lady for an afternoon ride. If you do, you will get the benefits from those two, plus you will get extra £200. With stateroom, you can host a formal affair. You can invite 6 guests and benefit from all 6. Plus, on top of that, you will get 5 reputation. So it sounds like the stateroom provides much better benefits compared to the riding stables. Why would anyone pick one over the other? But here's the catch, which is my favorite mechanism in this game. Your reputation, which is currently 1, decides which activities you can host. So here we have riding stables requires 1 reputation, which you can afford, but stateroom requires 6 reputation, which is a long way for you to go. So you can purchase the tile, you can have it in your estate. However, you cannot invite guests and to host this activity. And there is one more catch, which is another mechanism which I really love. Same as with hosting events where reputation matters, you cannot invite guests whose reputation is higher than yours. You can have them in your connections, but they will not come to your event. And there is one more catch, which I really love. You cannot host activity just by yourself. You need help. That's where servants become very important. You need them to first take care of the location and then serve to the needs of each of your guests. And I really love the mechanism for this process. After each event, the servants that were helping out get tired and they require 1 full turn to rest. After that, they become available again for the next activity. This requires very tight planning on your end. You need to plan ahead which activities you want to plan and which guests you want to invite. Luckily, you can hire more servants that will help you to host more activities. And there is one more catch which I really love. Not all activities are equal. There are 4 seasons in this game, and for each of them, Charles and Elizabeth will tell you which of the 5 different improvements they are most interested in. So randomly, you will pull a card which will say that, let's say for the first season, the sporting improvements is what they are most interested in. At the end of the first season, there is a courtship event where the player who has the most points for the sporting tiles will be able to invite one of them for any of their events in the following season. This is very impactful for development of your estate. So for the first season, you will prioritize buying the green tiles and also to host activities with those tiles, because if you do, you would flip the tile and your victory points would increase with that. Each of the seasons will have a separate theme card, which greatly influences the strategies that you would come up for your game. If you worked hard, you made nice improvements to your estate, you hosted nice activities, you improved your reputation, you prioritized courtship, you had Charles and Elizabeth coming to your events, which was helping the romance to keep going. You might be the one who has one of their kids at the wedding table at the end of the game. I can keep praising different mechanics in this game for a very long time, but I think this is enough for you to understand the flow of the game. It perfectly combines theme and all those mechanisms. They seamlessly work together and provide a very solid experience with the story. It's not just random cubes moving on the table. It has some story arc, which I really, really love. And on top of that, the rulebook and glossary are ones of the best I have ever read, period. And look at this. VP distribution to help new players figure out what's important in this game. How cool is that? So from any angle you look, Obsession is a perfect game. I cannot find any negatives. Even the theme, which I did not like at first, grew on me. Now I like it, because it so nicely intertwines with all the mechanics that it provides you with this full enjoyable immersion in the game, which I really love. So Obsession gets my highest recommendations. If you are still watching, thank you so much. See you next time.